Bitcoin and the VIX, right? We got to make sense of them. We got to make sense of them together because this is going to open us up to better understand the current structures and how these EU tariff delays are affecting the structures, what the correlation is with Bitcoin, the VIX, possibly even the overall US broad stock market, specifically the S&P 500. All of these together can give us a better understanding of what we can be looking at going forward, most probable, and we then can take advantage of that while still protecting our positions and setting ourselves up to maximize our profit, right? So we all know. Okay, if you guys excuse me, I forgot to talk about the VIX and the S&P and how that correlates with Bitcoin. So I'm going to give you guys an update on that, and then that will help you guys understand the actual what I'm talking about in the rest of the video with Bitcoin. So with the S&P, we know that the S&P made a bottom. It had a pretty nice, three wave move down quite well actually, because this was in a fib extension structure. Perfect. The price came down, filled the the fib extension very, very well, and then it started moving up higher. And now we got to understand that within a bullish fib extension, where we see a nice, push up, pushing past these imbalances, reaching briefly that one, coming down to where, it comes down, goes up, doesn't break the resistance, comes down, but finds support just underneath it, a little bit deeper in this area. We know that the price came up into this median area and it found resistance, and now it's down at the 120 moving average, using it as support, and is using the 100% extension at 5.756k as support as well. Now this can be interpreted as very bullish, and in my opinion, why not take advantage of these small retracements, filling in smaller picture imbalances, and the RSI is maxed out to the bottom side. But what I want to stress about this and how this can influence Bitcoin, and I'm going to get into the VIX in a moment. The S&P still has possibility of the price coming down into this, retracement area, and this can be backed up by potentially the VIX wanting to see a continuation of the price coming, or the VIX indicator coming up much, much higher. It created an imbalance that filled it, which doesn't really matter too much because this is a volatility indicator. It's not an actual, tradable asset compared to when we're talking about specifically with Bitcoin, the S&P. But it is showing an uptrend. It is showing, momentum for it to want to go up higher, which can push the price of the S&P lower. Now, there's a mixed say on whether or not the VIX can influence Bitcoin most of the time. But what we do know is that the S&P, and if that VIX goes higher and pushes the S&P down, regardless of futures being up, right now, as the U.S. market gets ready to open tomorrow, this can take away money from Bitcoin. We're seeing some weakness right now, but if the VIX starts to pick up throughout this week and we see the S&P fall, it could potentially flow money out of the S&P into Bitcoin, and then push the price higher into an area that I talk about during the video. But still, ideal area will be down here, but that's an alternative route. And I talk about how we can position ourselves, for that rally to maximize our profit, while at the same time protecting the position and conserving capital in case the price does come down lower and not really being hurt by that trade. So I talk about that. So it's very important to understand that even though there is optimism right now with EU tariffs being delayed, the VIX is picking up steam, and it could come down, allowing the price of the S&P and potentially even Bitcoin, or allow the S&P to go up higher if this has a little bit of some weakness, to allow the S&P to go higher, to let the RSI on the VIX come down. We could see a decent Monday on the green side, and that could flow money into the S&P while taking away money away from Bitcoin. So hopefully, understanding how these correlate can really help you guys understand the rest of this video. But remember, keep in mind that the VIX is very, very low, and even though we can see some weakness, allowing this week to start off nicely in the green, while the S&P is at a pretty decent support, but it could be better. Just understand that it's very important to focus on Bitcoin structures right now, and just positioning our positions and position sizing and risk management, SLs, and TP areas very important because there's a lot of mixed news when it comes to how discounted the S&P really is, rather or not the VIX wants to go higher, and then how money flows in and out of the S&P to flow into Bitcoin, out of Bitcoin. A lot of this, there's a lot of mixed news on it, and I'm expecting volume to be pretty crazy when it comes to how these assets are correlating. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I forgot to talk about it during the video, so let this introduce the rest of the video going forward. We all know right now, S&P, Nasdaq futures leap as EU tariff delays. Just recently, the European stock market did close at a pretty decent rally due to the delays. But how is that going to affect us, Bitcoin traders, and how can we take advantage of this, right? So I'm gonna go over this. I tend to repeat myself quite a bit when it comes to going over these setups and what I'm doing, but instead I'm gonna try to be super clear this time and give you guys just straightforward information on what I'm doing, and we'll go on from there. So as you guys know, if you've been watching already, I do have a small BitU position, $10,000 invested into BitU. I've been trading BitU with multiple positions, 10K. I've been taking advantage of micro supports as the price continues to go up higher with a tight stop loss in every micro support swing low, and maximizing my upside by locking in profits every time we reach a retracement, or not retracement, an extension area to the upside. So I did call this top a handful of days ago. If you guys were watching that video, 111 to 112K, it found a top there. And we finally started breaking micro supports and the price coming down lower. This is significant because we haven't seen any weakness truly in a while. We've seen sideways consolidation after rally. So sideways consolidation, rally, same thing in another rally. So finally we're starting to see a shift in just the volume, and actually giving us inconsistent structures which can better set ourselves up when especially when we're talking about realistic setups, and finally, not having a ton of these hype rallies, in our face, and instead being able to actually take advantage of proper retracements as we continue to move up higher. So I have no option but to hold onto my BitU position until the market opens on Tuesday, because today, Monday, the US market was closed. But if you guys know from recent videos, I am using this is for me, my own personal position sizing. This is my stop loss down here below the swing low. If we break below the swing low, I'm expecting the price not just to come down to the bottom of this blue area, 0.618, but I do expect for the price to start flirting with the 0.5 retracement around 102,700, which also overlaps with the median retracement area for this extension for the bearish move down between 102.5K and 103.2, or you can even say 103.3K as well. So roughly in that area. We still have possibilities of the price coming down here, and that would be super ideal to see a really, really nice proper retracement from this overall rally. But we gotta keep in mind that this can easily be invalidated. These are all just trading tools and indicators, and instead it's better to focus on the actual trade structures. And what I'm looking at right now is we do have a decent we don't just have like these lower lows and lower highs forming, but we finally had this swing high that broke all of these resistances, slightly wanting to break over the 0.35. It couldn't hold and it came back down. Then, from what I said in last night's video, I would like to see the price come down to the yellow retracement. This would allow a proper retracement for this structure right here, and then from there possibly even seeing the price continue to go up higher. But what I'm looking at now, and it's about the same, nothing has really changed, but I am still currently waiting. I'm going to be taking small positions with tight stop losses in previous micro supports, because the pathway down here, and possibly down here, but especially down here, the pathway down here is still very, very possible until we start proving that we're moving out of this downtrend, right? So in order to move out of this downtrend, what I'm looking for is a new structure to form. And the new structure to trade off of would be finally seeing these resistances break, which we have that locked down. But now we want to make sure that we can secure a higher low structure for the price to then find bullish momentum off of that and start pushing up higher to try to retest the current new all-time high and finally start trading within much higher prices, like we're like at least how I'm expecting for this to be in the future. But we know, just like earlier this year with tariff delays, a lot of this can build up. We don't have any official information. Even a lot of the China tariffs, a lot of it is still just, paper promises. Nothing has actually been signed yet. So things can change. And we want to make sure that we're well protected in case negative news does flourish and the price can come back down. And again, just like I've been saying in a lot of videos, even though we do have a swing high that broke previous resistances, we want to wait for confirmation of a continuation of a rally. And while we wait for that confirmation, the best thing to do, in my opinion, and just how I am approaching these trades, is the same thing like I've been doing over all of this and all the way up to this rally, which is taking small, long positions, focus on position sizing, while also at the same time focusing on previous supports that are created just recently. So all of these micro supports in the smaller picture are a great way to not just set ASL, but it's a great way to accumulate small long positions while still protecting yourself with those SLs in a very tight market, where we're going to start seeing a lot more volume build up, while at the same time allowing us to capture much more upside. So right now, if we confirm that we're not going to hit the yellow, and instead we're going to let the price confirm a higher low structure right here at the top of this 0.618 at 108,800. Pretty proper support. We've seen this happen a lot, in the past, where Bitcoin, comes up on, a nice rally upwards, breaking previous resistances. Then it comes down and finds support at, the bottom of a retracement area. So this retracement area, really what it's showing is that, the price can come down here to find support within the bigger retracement, smaller retracement structure, which is based off of this, downtrend. So we're getting this area. This allows the price to come up, have a corrective rally to allow the bearish momentum to then continue and come down much, much lower. So this is what I'm focused on right now. But in order to, and I believe it's most probable that the price will keep coming down, trigger some SLs, conserve capital, keep coming down, and then, that conserved capital will then be executed and accumulating shares down here, which will be a lot better of a discounted price, and it will also allow the chart to create a healthier, bigger picture, higher low coming down back down to this consolidation area. So higher low right here, not breaking below the swing low in the consolidation area, and then allowing the price to go much, much higher, and now create a bigger picture, healthier setup. But what I want to really stress is that even though this is possible, and that's why we're really being serious with our SLs and being serious with how selective we are on where we want to accumulate small positions, so we can capture small moves up and continue to respect those micro supports and capture as much upside as we can until something like this happens again, where the price breaks micro supports and it comes down lower. We lock in profit continuously as we go higher, cycling in and out of positions as we go higher, locking in profit, and then conserving capital once we have a big candle that comes down, hits the SLs, conserve capital, and then that allows us to focus on the next most important support area to accumulate. And if you guys were also doing something similar, you would have been accumulating down here, and now you will be in the profit. And then hopefully you guys are using this as a area that shows resistance to start locking in profit and continue forward. Now in the smaller picture, now I would be taking, if the market was open, another small position on top of the one I currently have with a tight stop loss down here on this swing low. In case the price comes down, we're stopped out, and then we can focus on accumulating at discounted prices where our important buy zones would be, which will be between the 0.618, 0.5, so between 105 to 106.3K, and then accumulating down here as well before we can go much, much higher. But if the price decides to just rally upward, retest all-time high, and then finally start going into this extension area, which again is based off of the belief, the possibility of, this being the low for this retracement. We have a new swing high when it comes to breaking past these resistances, and now we do have a low that is trying to establish itself. Although volume is weak, we're seeing a lot of these candles not really show a lot of strength. We also seen the RSI was maxed out to the upside. There is room for the RSI to come down and pull the price down. So we have, the possibility still of not just coming up into this area down here, but realistically, now these are just possibilities, and that's why we're taking small long positions in case the price does go up, then we can profit. And tight stop losses again are to conserve capital, so then we can buy at better discounted, more realistic levels. So we have upside potential, and we're not really being hurt much whatsoever as long as you have those SLs, right? So the next, if we break below the smaller micro support down here, really what I'm looking for, and this is most ideal in my opinion, is for the price to come down for us to start looking at potentially accumulating in the yellow, which will be a proper retracement from this move up, and then using the the overall swing low from the the discounted price bottom to then use that as a SL and conserve capital come down, to conserve capital come down, because ideally we realistically what's most probable is for the price to show this, have that nice retracement, which is in right now, and then come down and finish that third wave down. So it'll be a first wave down, second wave up, third wave finishing that corrective rally down here. That will be ideal and most realistic. So that's what I'm looking for. But when it comes to microstructures, if we start breaking micro resistances, it's very possible we can come up here, and we want to make sure we're well positioned to capture that profit upside while still understanding the most realistic pathway is currently still to the downside, which is why we have those tight SLs. And that's going to help us conserve capital, come down, fill in this imbalance, probably find support down here, a smaller rally upward, where then we can do something like this, where we can potentially, if the opportunity presents itself, we follow the price down, potentially find support somewhere around 108K, and then we can trade the corrective rally upward and start selling here, understanding that still the bigger picture pathway is down, so we can still take opportunities of small fluctuations in profit. But we also have a lot of optimism building up with the tariff EUs being delayed, and it's just an environment where hype can really influence decision making. But why not prep yourself to capture upside and prep yourself to protect your position sizing, conserve capital and accumulate and take positions based off of structures instead of based off of news media title hype. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this update. I'll make another update soon, maybe tonight or tomorrow, to let you guys know whether or not I got stopped out, or whether or not we're still holding on to position, or if I'm going to sell out at pretty much flat from the one I bought on Friday. Because again, we do have a lot of weakness forming, so I'll keep you guys updated on those positions, and as well as the price structure as well. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.